What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Center Beacon 4th of July weekend. This weekend's test server, we had 2.9.2, and we are going to take a look at the Scourge, which is a medium weapon prototype that I'm eagerly anticipating. We are not going to take a look at the Zenit rebalance. I don't like the artillery weapons. I think the idea of them is a cool one, but for the type of player that I am, I can't sit back there and just launch these things into like middle. It's like trying to drown somebody in the rain. It's just a slow, painful process. We are also going to mostly focus on the new battle UI, the user interface, the HUD, whatever you want to call it. They've tweaked it some, and we're going to take a closer look at that. We're going to compare what they did a couple of weeks ago to some minor changes. Not as many as I thought, and we're going to go through those a piece at a time. Also, dashbots are back, so let's get started. All right, while I silently hum the Team America World Police theme song on this 4th of July weekend, let's take a look at my epic new bot hangar. The dash bots have made a return. I threw the Natasha in there with the new Tempest weapons that are going to be available during the summer 4th of July event. So my Zords are back. The Korean bots are back on test server. I love it. So normally I'd cut this crap out, but I'm just showing you guys what the new robot selection screen looks like. We're going to drop in here on Canyon, and I am going to start with my camper, my sniper. So since I'm doing all the talking here, you are free to stuff a bratwurst into your face and chug some beer and celebrate America. And I'm going to shoot some people from super far away with the Tempests on my heavy weapon slots here. I got some Malots off to the sides, and I've got like the pretty sweet skull skin on my Natasha that I never run on live. But let's begin our examination of the user interface changes. It's pretty similar to 2 weeks ago. If you were on this or if you watched my video, I'll link it at the end of this one. So if you want to see the initial changes from 2 weeks ago to the improvements this week, please do so. So let's start in the lower right hand corner. You can see the fire control buttons have kind of rotated back to a more vertical posture. One of the complaints that I saw on Facebook and talking to some other channel hosts was for players that use the on-screen controls. They had rotated them a little bit too far to where you almost kind of had to relearn where all the buttons were. Particularly the target lock. As you can see in this video, the target lock button is now basically a rounded rectangle, whereas a couple weeks ago it was a little circle. And if you didn't hit the circle, it was kind of like the special ability button, like a jump. If you didn't land right on it, you didn't get your target lock. It was kind of a pain in the butt for people. So they have wisely moved it back into formation with the overall fire button circle, D-pad type thing over here. And now you can get pretty much any piece of that thing, and you're going to get your targets to cycle and lock. So now if you'll bear with me for a moment, I'm going to adjust my sensitivity because I'm such a sensitive guy. Just ask my wife. I'm just kidding, don't ask her because she won't know what you're talking about. You can just kind of see the menu's a little fancier. There's my robot menu again. You can see the bots I have remaining. Sensitivity's dialed all the way up. I'm going to dump that Natasha, and we're going to look at the reticle. Let's talk about that reticle in the center. It's a little larger, the crosshairs, the blue ones. If you get super close to the screen and get some radiation kind of like leaking into your skull, penetrating your brain like I do when I make these videos, you can see that crosshair is somewhat translucent. The ends of the crosshair, the vertical thing that looks like a cross in the center, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's kind of darker, and then it lightens up, and then it's almost clear in the center. What I would like them to do is kind of clean up the reticle, this whole area, like I'm shooting that guy right there with the plasma who's eating my face. I want them to clean that up quite a bit. I'd like to be able to see, I'm sure as you guys do, exactly what's going on inside that reticle, because sometimes from far away, you need to know not only what bot it is, but what weapons. So that way you know if he can range you or not. By the way, I think this is the new Russian death button, Griffin. Look at that. Look at all those. Did you see all those jets? You don't mess with that. Look at me eating that guy up. That's nasty. Yeah, I like that. So before you lose some fingers to that M80 firework you got from your brother's friend, let's talk about your health. Health bar, that is. As you can see here, we're going to drop in on Moon Map. And in the upper left is my cool, yet unreadable name. And that way it's more mysterious. But you can see the health bar. A couple things changed from a couple weeks ago with the health bar. It is now slightly taller, kind of more robust, more prominent, and it is also much greener. The first one was kind of like a, I don't know, I'd have to ask my wife for like a color other than green that's green, but it's a darker green. The other one was like a mint, maybe. Should I know that? Probably not. I shouldn't admit to knowing that for sure. But yeah, the first one was kind of minty. This one is more of like a, you know, this is more of like a robust green, a forest green perhaps. I don't know. But it's easier to see, point being. Same thing with the shield later on or earlier. If you see when I got a shielded bot, it's a little bit more prominent, easier to see, which was one of the complaints, again, from people on Facebook. Some of the other channel hosts that I spoke with. We wanted to be able to, you know, you want to be able to see the important metrics more clearly, have them more readable, more prominent, and they certainly did that here with the health bar. And the name up on top, I could take it or leave it. I don't really care. I mean, I know who I am, you know, unless I change my name to something that I forget. But it's, I guess, good for, like, if you make videos. You know, it's that way they can see kind of who's running the video the whole time without having to look at the now very brief kill spam at the bottom. A note on the Bulgasari. This is the Bulgasari, the Korean bot. It's not heavy. I guess they're doing away with the classes, but it's a bigger one. It's more hit points, whatever. But I love this thing. I love the dash on it. The 3 Terrans are pretty epic. You can cap beacons. It's got a lot of hit points. That shield on the left side there is really tough, so if you get into some sticky situations, you know, I think you saw earlier where I just turned that into the incoming, like, plasma fire. And if you start taking splash damage, boom, dash, dash, double dash. You can double dash right out of that sucker. So now, as you wipe some potato salad from your face and head back to the table for some baked beans, let's talk about some things, sadly, that I don't like about the new user interface that I think still need to be tweaked, changed, improved. The beacon bars are still a little too small for my taste. I'm sure by design, because this is what I kind of feel happens, they get lost in the battle. I'm so focused, and I'm sure part of their thought process or their design process was to make some of that user interface just kind of fade away, so that way you can focus on what's really important. But maybe it's because I'm dumb, but I still, the beacon bar is so small and so slight. I tend to not pay too much attention to it when clearly I need to be doing that because it's super important, you know, trying to get the win. So that's one thing. Another thing there, and you see when I fire this guy up, when you actually get hits, effects on the target, you get that red cross. It keeps flashing in there. I want, as I said before, the reticle in the center to be less busy. So what I thought of was, instead of having that red X that further obscures what's in the reticle, especially if you're at range, I would just like to see the entire reticle flash. That way you get less obstruction of the target, the reticle is less busy, and just have the bracket itself flash, and that way you know you're getting effects on the target. Other than that, they've cleaned it up okay. I feel like that crosshair is probably still a little too dark. By the time you get the weapon effect, the explosion effect, the crosshair, and the red X flashing, it just, for my money, for my taste, personally, it's still a little too busy. I'd like to clean that up as much as possible while still delivering that information, that visual feedback, that yes, you are indeed having effects on the target. The final thing that I am not super crazy about is the hit point depletion animation on the enemy's health bar. I'm going to cycle around through some targets here if you can get a chance to see it. When you actually hit the enemy, you'll see like a little white space created as I tag that guy up with these Terrans here. And if you look previously in the video or later in the video, you might see some more of those, a little clearer example. But when I'm dropping elbows on a fool, I want to be able to see his health deplete immediately and accurately, because a lot of times I'm going to save ammo. If I don't need to fire it, I'm not going to use it. And I feel like that little white creep of space there, it like lets you know you're hitting him, but you kind of have to wait for the actual damage dealt. I don't care for. I want to know exactly immediately I'm depleting his health, and I waste no more ammo than what's absolutely necessary. Alright, we covered the UI, so let's talk about these dash bots, since I'm dashing around, being pretty annoying in this Mark 1, I believe it's called. The, oh, dear lord, do I even dare pronounce the Korean name? I daren't, but since we've got these on test server this weekend, I was pretty elated to see these because I love these things. So let's talk about them a little bit. Ironically, this is not my favorite one. This just happens to be the one in the video. I like this probably least out of all of them. It has the least firepower, fewest hit points, that type of deal. Yes, he dashes quicker. The reload time is very brief on the dash, but from the early test centers months and months and months ago, and gosh, I probably won't even link you to that because, you know, unless you're feeling nostalgic. But his dash has been shortened considerably. He doesn't go really far. I feel like the other two bots, like, maybe they're going further, or maybe I'm just psyching myself out, but with the Mark II and the Mark III, those are where I'll be putting my money, my resources. This guy, he does get around pretty quick. He's pretty fast, and 2 Terrans are nothing to sneeze at, but I much prefer the other two, the Mark II and the Mark III. So here we're going to talk about another little gem, the Scourge, the medium heavy weapon medium weapon prototype, not a heavy, it's a medium. On here, what I did, the theory being, you throw a Thunder on there. The Scourge, the closer you get, the more damage it does. I like this as kind of like a hybrid brawler, almost. You have the range. If all I can do is sit there and kind of pepper you at 600 meters, I'll do it. But as I close in, I'm hitting you with that Thunder. The Scourge is amping up the damage as you decrease the distance between yourself and the target. And boom, you're slaying fools. So get ready for those dash bots. Get ready for that Scourge medium weapon. And please have a safe and happy 4th of July weekend. And as always, I will see you next time at the Center Beacon.